Hello everyone, Michelle here from the Creative Cove. Thanks for joining me today. I thought we'd try a fun project. Where to start? So I make a lot of sewing bags for my knitting projects. And though I'm not a huge sewer, I'm not a good sewer by any means, I'm actually quite a terrible sewer. I thought it'd be kind of fun to make a sewing project with using only papers to create a project bag for my goodies that I make so that I can keep them separated. So this is a project that I've been working on, and I never know where to put anything. So I thought as I accumulate more ideas, I can put them in a project bag, which is a handy thing to do, I hope. So I haven't made a paper bag before, but I thought if I can make it happen, we'll make it happen together. So this is what I'll be using. I think I'm going to try and back you out a little bit. So forgive my wiggles there. So I have a lot of this kind of wrapping brown paper that I use when I paint. So this is a piece that I crumpled up and I cut. And do I have a ruler? So I'm not big on measurements, but if you're curious, this is a 10.5 by... by 12. So we'll see what size bag we get out of that, because if I could sew straight, I know I could do the math and tell you just a certain seam allowance, but none of my sewing's ever straight, so I don't want to tell you that. So I thought we'd decorate the bag, maybe put some pockets in there. So what I think I'll do is slide the sewing machine out of the way. Now I did get a new sewing machine. In the last videos a little while ago, I mentioned how much I hated my new machine. I unfortunately had to throw my mom's sewing machine, donate, or what did I do with it? Oh, I recycled my mother's sewing machine that she bought me when I was a teenager, because I used to like learning to sew my own clothes back then. And bought this other one from Canadian Tire and really hated it. And it stopped working on me already, so it was junk. So I took it back. And much to my dismay, they wouldn't take it back because it was past the warranty. So always check the warranty on your products when you buy things. It was 90 days, and I only used it twice, and I couldn't get it back. I couldn't get any money back. I couldn't do an exchange or anything. So I went somewhere else and bought a different sewing machine, which I really like. So that being said, my big rant about a sewing machine. Now I like sewing a little bit again. So I pulled out a bunch of different papers, things that I thought we could decorate, not the entire bag, but the envelope, but like the pockets with. So we'll make some pockets. So I've got some scraps here. Just want to show you a few. Napkin. That's a pretty napkin. This is, what is this? Oh, this is like a pattern piece. So I really like the paper, some rough sketches, this matte paper that I'll probably always use. I love it. Here's some watercolors. I've done a video on these, so these are the originals. I thought maybe these would make good pockets. Here's some more watercolors that I did with feathers. I really like the simplicity of something like this. Here's some digital papers that I had made. So I really like the colors of these feathers. This could be something fun to do. I don't know if I want to do something that big though. Some pockets, flat paper. I didn't like the paper that this was printed on. It's kind of glossy. I'm not a big fan of it. I've got it printed at Home Depot and I don't like the glossiness of it. But there's this one out of one of my digital kits that I really like, and I really like the size, but I really like the busyness and the colors against this brown. So we might use something like this. Let's see. So I'm gonna move this aside. Let's start with the bag first. Let's do something with the actual paper. Whoop. Yeah, too much stuff on the desk again. Here we go. Me searching for things is half the video. There's some more little manila. Here's the little sketches that I did on labels. We could use something like that. I want to put a pocket on each side of the bag. This is already a made pocket, which we could just simply glue down. speaking of glue, did I take my glue out? Let's make sure I have glue before I start. Some of them get old pretty fast. Yeah, okay, we got one. Good. So that was a good start. And my tea. I'm trying a new tea. It's peppermint vanilla. I'm not sure I like that one. Not a big vanilla fan. It's got a nice aftertaste though. All right, so this is Whisper Exclusive Inks water-based dry ink, acid-free. So let's do my usual, the one I like to use with the lettering here. I'll use this guy. And I crumpled up the paper and then I cut it, just because we are going to be doing a lot of kind of moving this paper around, turning it inside out. So it's going to take a bit of a beating. I did pick this paper, even though it's relatively thin, it's pretty strong. Obviously, it's not going to be a bag that can carry a bunch of bricks. You know, it's not going to be something that can carry tons of weight. But it's, I doubled it up, by the way. So I folded it, doubled it, and cut it. So both sides of the bag will get 2 sheets. I'm not putting a liner in this bag. A liner would be nice. You could use actual fabric in the liner. That would be really fun. But I'm not going to get that technical, especially with my sewing skills. I do put liners in my my sewing bag, my knitting bags. I do like that look. It's more professional and it's pretty easy to do. I can walk you through it if you want when we get to that stage. So you can always put a liner in here to make the bag even more durable. But I'm just not going to get into that today. So I'm just going to put some of this down. And I switched to my brush corduroy there for a second. And then I'm going to switch back to this Whisper. Some of that down, and I love this stamp. As if you've watched my videos, you'll know I just love it because it has just gives instant texture to paper. You know, it, like, look at the writing on there, just so much fun. So we can always add stuff after we've sewn it as well. I just want to start with that, and then I think we'll find something to make the pockets with. So we need something pretty sturdy. I did have a piece of coffee dyed that I had folded. So I'm going to sew the edges on the top at least, where the pocket will be, and I'll show you that in a minute. And then maybe this manila paper here. Now, this one might already be a pocket. So let's try something like that. So on one side, that could be good. Now you're going to remember your seam allowance is at least going to be, say, 3/8 of an inch. Or is that centimeters? Geez, I don't even know. 5/8 of a centimeter an inch, sorry, by the looks of it. So 3/8 of an inch. You'll have guides on your sewing machine. You could pick whatever you're comfortable with. So we could do something like this and just sew this down. And then we'll have very little bag on the side. So I think I am going to cut this a little shorter. And I don't measure. Again, if you're a measurer, and when it comes to sewing, I would recommend measuring. It just makes things way more professional looking, but I'm too lazy. So this could be actually a double pocket. Let's do something like that where we'll sew this. We'll cut this front flap a little shorter. You never have enough pockets. So I have a pocket here and I'll have a pocket here. And they're not going to be overly deep pockets, but it's something. So I am going to take my 2 layers and I'm going to sew it on. And I'm just going to wing it. I'm not going to pin it in place or anything. It's probably not even going to be straight. And I'm okay with that. It does not bother me. But if you want it straight, pin it. Or tack it with a little bit of glue or double-sided tape, whatever you want to do. So these are pretty strong, so I'm not going to double over those pockets. Okay, where's my little foot here? And then I'm going to switch my stitch to a straight stitch for this one. I am going to back up a bit. Just a little at the top. You don't want to back up too much in paper because the more holes you put in it, the weaker it will get. I'm going to spin this around. I don't even know. I don't think I'm on camera here. Though you won't really, you won't really be able to see because you're straight above. Sorry. I'm not going to be able to see much anyways. So one day I'll get good at technology and have a couple more cameras and stuff going. But we're miles off of that. Now I'm just going to sew across the bottom. I'm sorry if it shakes my camera. It's all connected to the same table. And one more, and I'm going to rotate it one more time. So I thought this would be a fun way to use up scraps of paper. And, you know, I don't know about you guys, but I seem to accumulate more and more paper because I literally can't throw anything away. You know, I'll get to packaging in the mail and it goes in my stash. And then the stash gets to the point where you can't move. So there it is, sewn to the bag, pocket and pocket. So let's flip it over. And let's put this guy down. So I don't even know if that's folded straight or not, but I don't care. First, I want to reinforce the top here. I don't want to, this isn't strong enough. So I'm going to fold this over and I'm going to give it a stitch along the top here. I think I'll do a zigzag. Just to reinforce that top of being used. You know, if you're sliding things in and out of there, then it's going to be vulnerable. I'll reinforce it a little bit. So there's a little zigzag. So I'll make sure we got the top of our bag. And again, I'm just going to throw it on. I did fold the bottom over too. Now, if you fold the sides over and kind of sew them wrong side, like if you were to sew this, well, I guess that wouldn't work, would it? I was just thinking if you were to fold these and glue them, you could have a deeper pocket, but that's too technical for me today. It's just not in the cards for today. All right. I just want to see if this project will even work. Like I said, I am just making this up as I go. The idea just hit me about 10 minutes ago while I was organizing my knitting stash. I thought, why not? And I was buried under all the amounts of scraps of paper I have kicking around. I really have to get more organized. Once I have a proper creative space, I probably will. As of right now, I make do with what I got. And I'll just rotate around again. Try and sew straight. But who cares if you don't? Doesn't bother me, but I can see it bothering some. So take your time and do what you like. Do your style. All right. I'm going to sew this up here. Reinforce the top a little bit. Remember, try not to sew too many holes in because all it does is weaken paper. And try not to dunk your bag into tea. Okay, so now I have a pocket. And then on the other side of my bag, I have 2 pockets. So if I want to sew anything more on here, so let's say I find something, you want to sew it before you sew the bag closed. So let's have a quick look through and see what we like on here. Move this guy back out of the way for a sec. Scooch in a little closer. So there's the birds. I think I'd like to use this paper in some way. Piece of watercolor paper. I think this is too vibrant for the look I'm going for, so we'll take that out. Another piece of water, no, that's a flower. This is kind of pretty. So you can do a collage, or I can just simplify it and just grab one thing. I like the back of that too. So I'm going to take out what I think feels the best. I like the color of that old paper. That's kind of fun too. a little bit boring. I think I want to use one of these. I have this too that I made. I don't think I want to use that for that. One of these backgrounds could be fun. The feather, I think, is too big. I did want to use a feather, but I think it's too big. We could always sew it right to the bag or glue it to the bag, I guess. But I don't like how big it is. I wanted to use this blue. I really like the blue with this brown. I could cut the feather out itself. Maybe that. All right, so what did I pick? I've lost what I picked. Yeah, not these. Not these. Digital prints are so much fun. Sometimes you can buy a digital print. These are mine. They're on my Etsy store, but sometimes you could buy a digital print that is so pretty you don't want to cut it. It just sits in your stash forever because you just don't want to cut it. Actually, I really like this feather now. Oh, too many choices. Okay, so let's cut this out. So this is one of my watercolors I did. And I was just doodling around one day and decided to do a little feather watercolor. And I really liked how they turned out. But they're just, again, approached like my loose sketching. Very loose watercolor. It's a little too big. I wonder if we should just cut it right out. And stitch it on or glue it on. Let's see. Maybe keep this side a little more simplified. And I can always tone, I'll probably end up toning it down a little bit. Flip on my camera here. And I try not to use glue underneath where I'm going to stitch, just because I don't want the glue disturbing my sewing machine on the needle. But sometimes you have to hold it in place. I like that. That works for me. Maybe we could do something behind it. So I can make it just that simple. I could put something distracting behind it. Wording, just a little something behind it. I like that. Let's do something like that. Just the lettering. I like the vertical texture of the lettering. I'm going to use that. See, more scraps. The struggle is real. I like that. All right, let's get my ink, which fell on the floor here. And my vintage stressed oxide. I'll just fell down. There we go. So this is the corduroy. I'm just gonna, I like grunge. You may not like grunge. That's okay. You do you. But if you watch my videos, you'll know that I do like to dirty things up a little bit, especially the edges. I'll show you in a second. So when you dirty the edges, it really separates the two compared to this, where they're more subtle. So depending on the look you want, you can just darken your edges here, and it pulls it away from the background, which is really kind of nice. And then where's my feather gone? Just put a little bit here. And I think I'm going to just soften it up with the yellow tone too and kill off some of that bright white. It's a bit too white. There. So I think what I'll do is I'll glue this and then just sew up the middle, just so it's on there good. I think that would be it for that side. I like that. And you can make tons of these little bags. And keep all your projects organized. I mean, you could just buy a paper bag too, of course, or a gift bag, whatever. You don't have to go through all this effort. But it's a fun way to use up scraps, and it's a fun way to be creative using your sewing machine. if you have one. All right. And I want it right in the middle. I'm going to sew it now, so don't forget to sew it, because that's something I would do. I'd start sewing the bag together and realizing I haven't finished making the bag. I'm just going to run this through real quick. I'm just going to do a straight stitch right down the middle of the spine of the butler. Just remember to open your bag before you sew it. You could go all the way around. You could have fun kind of quilting it. However much effort you want to put into your bag. It's up to you. So there, that's the one side of the bag, which is kind of cute. And we're still, oh no, I just sewed our pocket closed, didn't I? Duh. Well, that didn't work. So learn from my mistakes too. But it's okay, it's still solid, Joel. We're just gonna chop the thread. Duh. So those are the things you learn as you go. I don't know why I didn't think of that. You were probably thinking it the whole time I was saying I'm gonna sew that. No, don't sew it. Oh, jeez, Michelle. You're a professional here at Creative Cove. Just trying to cut the thread without cutting the bag. Okay, so sometimes you learn from my ideas, but you also learn from my mistakes. There. Okay, we're back in business. We still have a pocket. And the stitching's still there, so that's kind of cool. Or at least the holes are just there. Okay, lesson learned on that side. Let's do something on this side. So first thing I'm going to do is kind of grunge up this color because it's a bit too bright. I'm just going to rub off whatever color I have on here, which I think is the corduroy. And then maybe on this side, we can use some of this stuff. This is fun. But you know what? I don't know if I have the glue for this. You need, I don't think I brought it out. I think these are too tall. That's all I brought over here. Are they too tall? I could chop them down a little bit and put all three of them on here. That'd be kind of fun. Let's try. So these are sketches that I did on labels, and I've done a few videos on label sketching, and I love using them because they're just so versatile. And they're ready ephemera, which is something I really like. I like things ready to go. And they don't take very long to do. Okay, so we obviously are not going to be sewing these. I kind of like just the three birds like that. Let's do it. Put one in the middle as best I can. Or should I start on the side? Start on the side. See, they're just, boom, ready. I'll do this one over here. So while your quickie sketches, do them on labels sometimes and see how much fun they are to use after. Like, literally stick them to anything. Done. Love it. Love it. And I think I'm just gonna maybe leave that the way it is. I don't think I want to decorate that, or do I? There's something that appeals to me. I kind of like that. I'll try a little piece, see if I like it. So I'm just going to cut it a tiny bit wider than what I need. Deeper, I mean. And then cut it where it will fit. All right, I do like that. Just another texture, right? Move this stuff out of the way. Clean up a wee bit. More scraps. And I'm going to grunge this up. I'm use my brushed corduroy for this one. I was thinking in my brain of ways to use up these materials. It's part of the creative process, really, is forcing yourself to create things you don't normally create. And then you find something you really like to make and you make a whole whack load of them. So these bags might be my new thing. I don't know. We'll see. I might not even be able to sell it. I might have completely wasted your time. A little bit of glue. I'm going to slide that in. And I like to give myself borders. Make each paper have its little showcase. There. So a pocket and a pocket. All right, now let's see if I can make this bag happen. So these things won't be nearly as flexible as the rest of the bag, which might cause us a little bit of trouble, but we'll give it a go anyways. So I'm turning the bag inside out. I'll line up my right sides together as best I can. Increase the middle here, the center of the bag. As best I can. I'm going to sew each side here. I'll try to bring this in. Not that you can really see me sewing anyways, but... And I'm going to do 3/8 of an inch. Well, I'm going to start at 3/8. By the time I get to the bottom of this bag, it probably won't be, because I don't sew very straight. I'm going to do my best. I'll go a little slower. I'm just going to sew down each side here. And then I think we'll give, if I can pull it off, I think we'll give the bag a little bit of what's the word, depth, you know, where you kind of sew it on an angle and it kind of gives it a little bit of, instead of just being a very straight bag. I'll show you what I mean in a second, if I can do it with paper. I don't know. So there's the one side sewn, which is very crooked. Oh, geez, look what I did. I sewed it. I wasn't paying attention. I folded it over. Oh, my goodness. Okay, this is where I could really use an editing program so I don't look like such a moron. Okay, let's do that again. Jeez Louise. So now I want to cut just the, what's it called? Thread, not the paper. Don't cut the paper. I'm going to change my seam allowance too, so that I don't weaken the paper too much. See, and that's why I have to really be in the mood for sewing, because I am not good at it. My attention to detail when it comes to a sewing machine is just not there. Okay, again, don't do what I do. Let's try that again. Okay, Michelle, let's just try it again. And if you have things to hold things in place, like pins or whatever, use them. It'll save you a lot of trouble in the long run. So I'm going to move it out to just over 3/8. Don't ask me what that is math-wise. I have no idea. I just don't want to re-sew the same holes. Otherwise, I'll just weaken the paper completely. Let's see if I can do it right this time. So it's going to be a little bit wider seam allowance. That's okay. As long as I don't sew over my pockets, which I may have done. All right. Okay, I think that was successful. And I'm not near my pockets, so that's good. Okay, let's try to do the other side. And I'll stick to the same seam allowance I just did so that hopefully the center of the pockets are even. Sew right up. Oh, my thread's caught around my foot. Yeah, I have a love-hate relationship with sewing. Sometimes in the mood and I sew for like a week straight. And then I won't touch it for like a year and a half. I'm like that with a lot of things, actually. Not gonna lie. Okay, so there is our bag. bag is sewn. So now what I want to do, if I can do it, because it is paper, so I want to give it a little bit of a depth. So I don't want to get in your face too much here, but if I open the bag and separate it, it creates these little wings. So there's the bag closed. So we could leave it like that and just have a standard paper bag. But I want to make it feel a little bit more like a real bag. So I'm going to put my hand in and spread the bag out in the middle and create these little wings. And then I'm going to sew across these wings. So if you're a professional or if you like things even, you're going to measure down and across. So you're going to measure across here and you're going to want, say, like 2 inches. So the further down you sew, the wider the base of the bag will be. If that makes sense. So if you sew way down here, you're going to have a say a 4-inch base to your bag, which I don't want. I don't want anything that big. I'm thinking like 2. So I'm just going to go 2 inches and I'm going to just sew across here. And again, you would take your time and even this out if you're more of a professional, but I'm just having fun with paper. I'm going to try and make myself just a little bag that can sit in my room and remind me that my goodies are in there. And showcase maybe a sketch or something that I did. And then I'm going to clip the corner of that bag. Okay, so it's clipped. Might as well clip these off while I'm here. And then I'll probably do a zigzag right along here just to reinforce it, because when we go to turn it inside out, it is going to get kind of beaten up and stretched. And again, it is just paper. So we don't want to overly abuse it. I'm going to repeat the same process for the other side. Again, around the 2-inch mark. And you can, again, measure it if you want it to be perfect. I really am fine with it not being perfect. I just want to have the creative fun of it all. Okay, so I'm going to chop these and then chop along here and switch it to a zigzag. Now, if you wanted to do a lining, before you sew the bag closed, I could have told you that, you have the bag wide open, then you can put whatever lining material you want, whether it's fabric or more paper. You could cut around the full bag, and that's how you know how big the lining will be. So for the lining, I would take that piece of paper or fabric, fold it in half, sew up the sides like we did, sew the corners like we did on these. And then right now, if I was to do a lining, I would slide the wrong sides together. And in the lining piece, you'd leave a gap opening here. You wouldn't sew a section, so that way you can turn the whole thing inside out. There's lots of YouTube videos on how to do that sort of thing. But I'm not going to complicate things with lining. I'm just going to try and struggle turning this inside out. And it's going to be rigid because of all those pockets we put in it. We used more of a rigid paper. So I'm just going to take my time. If I rip it, I can always just reinforce it with more paper. Everything gets crinkled, which is why I kind of crinkled the paper to begin with. If you want to make the process a little easier, make the pockets out of thinner material. I'm slowly going to turn this right side out and hope that it works. Take my time. Remember, it's paper. This isn't something you take out on a snowstorm or a rainy day. This is just something. Oh, and I just did rip it. I just put my finger right through it. That's okay. We can fix it with just another piece of paper. So yeah, very fragile, very fun. But once it's turned inside out, then it's pretty tough stuff. Just unfortunately takes a bit of a beating turning it. So this is where I ripped it. So to fix that, which I figured I would rip something at some point, just because I am pretty rough. And I'll show you the bag in a second. Let's patch this. So it ripped right where the pocket was. So we'll put something over top of that, like another piece of this paper or something. Something strong too. Like we could put a piece of watercolor paper here and then watercolor on it. I knew I was going to rip this at one point. That's how well I know myself. We can't sew it now because of the bag being sewn together, but we can always just put a patch on it. And then decorate that patch, and no one will ever know. Something like this. I don't know how straight that is, but doesn't matter. Not really. Okay. Tone this down. And then we can decorate the bag some more too, which is what I want to do. And put handles on the bag too. Let's give it some handles. And let's give it some of this texture here with the distressed vintage photo maybe. This one's starting to really get old. You put the name of the bag here, like the project name of the bag. That's fun. So you know what's in it. Especially if you make a few of these. So this will just cover up that hole. So no need to get upset or disheveled. Just, okay, roll with the punches. So I'm going to push down for a second here, and then I'm going to check inside, make sure that glue is not gluing the other side of the bag together. I'm just going to hold it for a sec and patch our little boo-boo. And then we'll finish the bag off. So make sure it is stuck. Doesn't even feel like that rip went all the way through. It's a nice clean rip, so that's good. So yeah, you could use thinner pocket material, so that I've learned. You could even use fabric if you wanted on that spot. But I wanted the goal was to make the whole thing out of scrap. That was my goal. Okay, so I wanted handles. I found a piece of this kind of old crepe paper, which I thought was kind of cool. It was in my scrap. And don't ask me where to buy this. I haven't seen it in years. It used to be big in the 80s. I remember being a kid playing with this stuff. And it unravels into like this kind of wrinkly crepe type paper. It's really pretty. But I thought if I open it up a little bit like this, let's cut this in half. And then these could be handles. See if I can sew this in straight. We'll see. Bear with me here. Unraveling it's kind of challenging. I don't want to unravel the whole thing. I just want to spread this out a little bit so it's a little bit thinner through my sewing machine. I can flatten it out a bit. So I'm going to do all four ends. What is that rattling? It's my light. Okay, so we'll do this side and then we'll just pop them in. Again, I'm not going to measure, just going to stick them in where I want the handles as best to be. So now I got this rough edge, so I want to fold the edge in all the way around the bag as straight as I can get it. And again, you would take your time if you want it perfect. Kind of just flatten it down here. Do my best to line it up. And then I'm going to take this and insert it through my sewing machine. Now, don't do what I would normally do and sew your bag closed. As I've well demonstrated many errors. I think I'll do a zigzag up here. I'm just gonna push, hopefully, all of this through. Okay, this is not catching. Let's try that again. Keeps pushing my crepe paper away. There, got it. I'm just going to feed my bag all the way around, putting my handles in. Trying to remember to put my handle in on this side. Yeah, definitely more flexible paper next time. It makes the project a little easier, that's for sure, to maneuver. Okay, feed this back around, fold it in, put my handle in. Oh, what am I doing here? I don't know what I'm doing there. Other handle. Not sure this is straight anymore, but like I said, I'm no seamstress. It would definitely pay off to kind of tape these edges like a double-sided tape first. But I am literally just winging this project. I have not made one of these before. As you can tell. But yeah, just a fun way to use up scraps. So there's my little baggie. So that little zigzag, the little cutoffs we did with the corners, so you can see how it creates a base on the bag, I hope. It creates a space, so you have that width of a bag now, which is kind of fun. And there's the inside. So a lining would be nice, but I'm not getting into a lining. I barely made it through the bag. And there's our little bag. I think it's so cute. I don't know if I can pull you up any higher to show you the whole bag. So semi-professional, right? Not too bad. Couple of boo-boos, but how much fun would that be to write the bag name on there, like the project? So let's put some stuff in it. Where'd my project stuff go? Here it is. So I had that, well, that's not part of this project, I guess. But here's the mushroom drawings that we've done. So I could put some sketches in here. You know what I could do is I could put the paper I need to use to continue the project. Could do that. So like my mushroom sketch that I might want to add again. And my envelopes and cards that I used for the booklet. And go in the front here. Maybe that could go in the back because they're a bit taller. And then mushroom cards here. Like these pockets are so cute. And then I just put the project that I'm working on can go right in the bag. And then all my stuff. So all my supplies for that project. So the drawings that I was using, papers that I was using for the project to continue, can all go in the bag. More sketches can go in the bag, and then all my project stuff is together. And we still have this pretty envelope to use. I can put more of these guys in there just for fun, just to show you how much fun that is. So now I have my project bag ready to go. Right? And it uses all the different papers. I think that's so fun. And look, we look so professional with our little ends. And nobody would ever know we tore it. All right, that I tore it, but still. And we use our sketches. We've got all our little goodies. So that's just a fun idea I thought of in my head while having a cup of tea. And thought I'd share it with you. And I'm kind of happy how it turned out. I might make a few more of these little project bags. Well, have a great day, everyone. Thanks. Bye.